This is a word for the people like me who have been in a space to where you consider yourself inconsistent and you feel like you are wanting to do certain things, but they're not coming to pass because you're not sticking with it. This is a quick message for you. Number one is that I'm rooting for you. Number two is that I think you're lying to yourself, but I want to be really clear about what you're lying to yourself about. If you're like me, you've been in this space to where you want to get something started, but you just don't see it through to the end. And you start to consider that you'll never get there and you're always going to be this person who starts things and never finishes them. And it's a fact of you start to even talk to yourself and call yourself inconsistent. You start to look at yourself as somebody who never holds their word, who's never true to what they say. And that can be a really big battle. And I want to get some help in that battle. Number one, I want you to be very mindful of how you speak to yourself. Nobody talks to you more than you talk to you. And so how you talk to you should be respectful and kind, because that is what's going to help you throughout all of these different times that you go through. With that in mind, calling yourself inconsistent is not one of those ways how you can be kind to yourself, because in honesty, it's not true. You're consistent in a lot of things. When it comes to you going to work, when it comes to you making sure you eat, everybody's consistent in feeding themselves. And when you think about that, why are we consistent in certain areas? Well, you're consistent in things like feeding yourself, maybe like going to work or whatever things you do, because you see the value in those things. You believe there's value there. And in some instances, you've realized that value. And the thing is, the only reason you haven't been consistent in the space to where you feel like you're inconsistent is because you're struggling to believe in the value of what you're doing and possibly who you truly are. And so if you're like me, I want to encourage you to believe in what it is that you're doing, because if the belief is there, the consistency follows. You believe that if you go to work, that they will pay you. So the consistency follows. You believe that if you eat certain foods, that you will be satisfied. So the consistency follows. I want you to take that same consistency that you have for eating a meal, going to work, that is exactly the type of belief that brings things into reality. Because you go to work, it brings that paycheck into reality. Because you eat food, it brings that satisfaction to reality. If you do the work, if you choose to stay consistent, and I say stay consistent, but what I really mean by consistent, if you choose to stay inspired and continue to believe in what you're doing, then the results will follow. So my little, I would say, help or tip for you is to start to be mindful about what you say about yourself and the value that you believe in what you have. If you truly can believe in the value of what you're bringing, then consistency will no longer be that hurdle that seems that you just can't get over. But I want you to start surrounding yourselves with spaces, with places, with words, with thoughts that you say to yourself about the value of what you have. Because if there's one thing that's super important, it's the value that you see in you before anybody else can see it. So lastly, I hope you recognize that you're not an inconsistent person. You're quite consistent, but your consistency is dependent on the value that you believe. So the most important thing that you can walk away from this with is a belief in not just yourself, but what you're doing. And know that I believe in you. I truly believe that God believes in you, or else you wouldn't be here and you wouldn't be in existence. So go out there, believe in what you have, believe in what you do, and I can't wait to see, what comes from you.